The hairy and scary update is here. Here is the perfect lowdown for you. I'm going to be talking about the Mantis armor, going through all of the nerfs, changes, and some of the stuff that actually got reverted during the PTB. Don't panic if you're a rogue user, it's still best build going, and even the pinch whacker, which did get nerfed halfway through the PTB, that is still actually one of the best weapons still. The devs have also reverted some of the changes to bow, so it's not as bad as we first thought. But otherwise, yes, there will be some changes to balance out the rest of the game. But more excitingly, we've got Axel, the big boss fight. So I'll be going through lots of details on how to summon it, all the info you need to know about the armor, weapons. The Halloween update should be going live today or tomorrow as well, so all that info. And I'm going to read every single patch note at the end of the video. So absolutely everything you need to know about the hairy and scary update. Let's go. And smash that like button. So of course, before we get on to Axel, we need to talk about the Mantis armor, one of my new favourite things, absolutely in Grounded 2. I love the look of it. Again, I'm going to say it, I know some of you don't feel that it fits with the Mantis, but I challenge you to look at a lot of the other sets from Grounded 1 and really recognise that so many of them don't really look like the bug parts that they came from. It's usually only the colours that really matter to a lot of the arm sets. Not all of them, but most of them. And for sure, it does use stink bug parts to craft this bad boy, so it kind of makes sense that it does fit with the mask. Anywho, at first glance, you may be thinking it's a bit sucky. It's got a gas guard as the helmet buff. You've already got the gas mask, and of course, the slightly less or worse version, which is the cockroach mask. But this does do the same job as the gas mask, although I'm yet to test if it's got more, maybe, durability on it compared to the actual regular gas mask. This is where it really gets good, with the critical haste on the chest piece and the legs, which will speed up your attacks if you perform a critical hit. It's really built for lots of different various rogue builds, and wherein the full set gains you extra health healing when you perform a critical hit. So there should be at least 4 Mantis spawns. Even if you've played for a while now, you may realise that some of them don't actually respawn, like the one in the north side of the flower gardens. And your best bet is to have either a slashing weapon or something fresh to take out lots of the mantises. The quick charge effect from grub armor now will remain when you're switching weapons, and they have nerfed the stun effect from the scorpion armor. Angry creatures you ambush with melee weapons are immobilized at a short duration. So that's been changed from actually stunning, because obviously when you stun a creature you can do more damage against it. Finally got around to also put in the description correct for the ambush mutation. I do believe it didn't specifically say daggers at first, but now it does, and yes, it should only work with daggers now. And if you're obviously trying to level this up quickly, you do need to do it on angry bugs, i.e. bugs that will hurt you if you go near them. Any harmless bugs, I don't think it necessarily works. So assassin death strike crit chance has been decreased. And yes, all critical hit damage with daggers and sickles has been slightly reduced. Weirdly, they've boosted smasher, so although they have slightly nerfed the actual pinch whacker, it's still a really good build as long as you're using smasher. They've also adjusted the speed of reliable friend. It will take slightly longer now, I do believe. And let's deep dive into the supposed massive nerf to rogue. Yes, there has been damage reduction, so pretty much 10% across the board, whatever way you look at it. Weapons such as the mosquito needle, the mighty shredders, as well as the northern shredders, all the daggers and the sickles have all had their critical chance dropped a little bit. I did cover this in a secret stats video where we actually examined the percentages and the exact drops. Big shout out to Apex Predator for that one. So go and watch it if you want more details. But I'm telling you right now, if you haven't played it yet, don't panic so much. Rogue is still really powerful. It's still probably the best build in the game. They have reduced critical hit across the board, and certain armor sets have had a little bit of a nerf in places, but it really isn't that bad. It is definitely still the best set. You can still one-shot tier 1 enemies, you can still one-shot a lot of tier 2 enemies, but you shouldn't really be able to one-shot level creatures as same as you. If you are looking for a bit of an easier ride, then pull it on mild. I did see some over-the-top reactions in my comments from people claiming they're going to uninstall the game and come back at 1.0 and that nerfs shouldn't matter for a PvE game. Let me remind you, just a little friendly heads up, it is early access. They are going to be balancing it up and down throughout the next 2 years. They obviously want their game to be played in lots of different ways, not just catering to one particular playstyle. They definitely want feedback if you're unhappy about certain things not being strong enough, and they have shown with what we're going to talk about a bit more with the bows that they are going to listen and they are going to adjust and maybe not nerf everything to the ground. Now in Grounded 1, it did get to the point where it only felt like you were super powerful by the time you got like the acid edge, but I think that was down to them really actually not having time or deciding not to implement tier 4 gear in the game. And obviously we are going to have tier 4 and maybe tier 5 stuff coming as well. Now we're in the sequel. So yeah, I promise you, listen to the patch notes that I do at the end of this video, and it's not as bad as it seems. I've tried it, I played it consistently for the last 2 weeks. The rogue build is still one of the best builds. One that was more puzzling was nerfs to a ranger build. So originally they reduced the damage of all bows as well as reducing the damage of tier 1 and tier 2 arrows. Now your bows technically will do slightly less damage just on their own obviously, so it still matters to go and get the best bow, but the arrows themselves, tier 1 and tier 2, now have been reverted. So arrow selection is going to matter a lot more because all your regular shots will now do an additional 5 damage, and charge shots will generally do 10 more damage than they did before. So even if you end up with not the best bow in a team, you can still do a good amount of damage as long as you've got the best arrows or the right arrows for the job. Which kind of makes this still a bit more of a support class, like you're always going to have a bow on you just in case to deal with some airborne enemies. They won't necessarily feel weak or something that you just can never use, but I wouldn't say that maybe Ranger's still in the best spot just yet. Decrease in the base damage that bows do definitely still probably needs a bit of work, or just add in more trinkets and stuff to give maybe ranger builds more bonuses. The sharpshooter mutation, they have reduced the amount of critical hit chance that can occur when using charge shots. Alongside global critical hit reduction, it may feel just not as strong, but with the base damage increase and the charge shot increase to the arrows themselves, the pheromone shot mutation that you get from killing Axel has had its damage buff increase from 25 to 35%, and using the Black Fang Great Bow is going to give a 15% increased damage with charge shots. In short, the rest of the bows may not still feel amazing, but all the arrows should be okay, but it's really pushing you now to try and get hold of the Black Fang bow, especially if you really do want to main being a ranger. Obviously it makes sense, it's a tier 3 bow, it's going to be better than the other ones you had before, but yeah, this really confirms that you want to get hold of it as soon as you can for a ranger build. And I'll cover more about what the actual bow is and the arrows that you get with it once we move on to Axel properly. Other small quality life improvements, you'll now be able to throw your actual spears and stuff a little bit easier. You guys might have noticed a big delay in throwing or holding down the button and releasing, well now it is a bit quicker, although it can still lead to you not actually throwing properly. Turrets have had their damage reduced against orc creatures, so for some of you that won't really matter as you've completed the mixer and don't have any more, but there will be more orc creatures added in future updates. And a few throwaways that I'm going to put here as well as read them later in the patch notes, that wolf spiders and mantises have had their health increased. Wolf spiders now resist stabbing a lot more too, with bombardier beetles also resisting stabbing now instead of smashing damage, and they just won't be as weak to fresh damage as they were before. Duping isn't a thing anymore, they have nerfed pretty much every method and lots of people have tried to find new ones, and snail shell armour now needs snail eyes that you get from the large snails to go ahead and repair the armour. Pinchwhacker AoE stun was lowered from 15 to 5, Pinchwhacker AoE damage was slightly reduced, but with the smash mutation getting a buff, you really don't feel that much of a difference. The Pinchwhacker's still a great weapon, so don't panic. And small change, you should be able to see the hot pouch bar fully now in your inventory, and they're supposedly having it added to the inventory as well when you're looking in storage chests or when you're on your buggy. But during the PTB that wasn't actually working correctly the second half of that, so hopefully it is by the time the full update has gone live. Hotbar is still missing though customizable kind of items where you can pretty much tell that box in the hotbar what to refill it with if you've got healing items or weapons. All weavers now allow you to jump off from great heights and take no full damage. At the same time, they have nerfed the little trick where you are able to jump off your buggy just before landing, and ant soldiers still will cause you maybe some harm if you jump off from a great height. There's a new build menu. This of course replaces the radial menu whether you're on PC or using a controller with a keyboard, mouse, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's now the new system. So there are some new decoration pieces, and one particular you need to get hold of is the scorpion bed. The cozy system is returning from Grounded, and it's going to be revamped by looks of things for the sequel, and that will be in the future. But for now, there are still some buffs you get, i.e. when you sit in a chair you don't need to eat or drink as much, and likewise when you sleep in the bunk beds or the regular bed you actually get a better buff that lasts all day for food and water consumption. But the Scorpion bed takes that one further. You get a buff to defense as well as a buff to exhaustion or stamina. So for sure, definitely worth crafting. So you'll need plenty of Scorpion chunks, pine needles, lingonberries, silk rope and milkweed tufts to build it, but it's definitely worth it. There is the new Scorpion lamp as well. Yep, just light things up and you can change and adjust it just like you can with everything else. 3 new pieces of furniture. We've got the pine table, the pine chair and the pine stool. And yep, these will all contribute to the incoming cozy system eventually. So it's nice to have some more decor pieces. Other build additions, there are now B style walls for pine, which pretty much show the lattice framework on both sides rather than one side and the other side being like the bark, allowing you to get a lot more light into your builds while using the pine pieces. And these are for the vertical, the full walls, half walls, and maybe a couple of the triangle ones too. There are also now grass and stem quarter triangle floor pieces as well. There is also a new trophy that you can place. I'm not too sure the significance of it. It's technically not part of the Halloween stuff because it was available even without the Halloween. But yeah, a pine skull mount. It looks pretty cool. Maybe skeleton zombies are coming to Grounded too? Probably not. You get no buffs from this, it's just purely decoration. Brand new wolf spider rug. I haven't tested to see if you could put this on the ceiling or maybe walls. That would be kind of cool. But at the moment, yeah, just for the floor. And then moving on to the Halloween content, like I said, it should be arriving at the same time as this update, a day early. If not, it will go live on the 1st of October and it will finish on the 31st of October. It's going to add a brand new placeable, the pumpkin, which produces bags full of loot. Now this event and any other event in Grounded can be actually triggered at any time by changing the times on your clock. Whether that's console or PC, it still will work. Just put the correct date that the event would be existing, and obviously it's been added. Otherwise, just wait for the day, head over to the science shop and you should find October treats to unlock for 250 raw science. The big thing here is you're going to need some of the candy corn that should now start spawning. If it's not appearing on your scanner straight away, go ahead and sleep. That's the key thing to do, otherwise you might not actually be able to come across any. Sleeping should go ahead and replenish and make some actually spawn in different locations. If that still isn't working, go ahead, save your game, close it, exit out and exit back in, and you should find candy cornlets popping up on the resource scanner. There are some on the picnic table, there's some in the toxic rubbish bin, or the rubbish bin where you did the alt receiver, and there is a bunch in the ice cream cart as well. So yes, you can get multiple of these. Don't know if they're going to nerf them, but some of you guys did say that placing some separated by a bit of space meant that you got more bags of treats. I only placed 2 and I didn't get that many bags. It was literally taking like 12 hours in game time to go ahead and get 1 bag. And there's a whole bunch of different stuff you can get. You can get tier 1 and tier 2 upgrade rocks. You can just get 1 piece of like fresh mint. You've got a chance of getting some of the candy trinkets like the fresh mint trinket and the spicy one. You can get bug parts in some of them, and you can also get basically goop. I'm pretty sure that's the gross bag, and you may even get one with rotten, which I think is just literally rotten food. There are supposed to be small little creatures that spawn as well, like mites and maybe spiderlings. Because of course, yes, it is trick or treat, but I didn't get any of that happen to me in the PTB. So yeah, definitely worth still doing though. And yeah, you can get a whole bag full of kind of resources, consumables, like chocolate chunks, gum nuggets, donut pieces and more. You'll be able to keep these all year round once you've unlocked them from the science shop, but that will actually disappear on the 31st of October or the day after. So make sure you go ahead and at least buy it, and you should still be able to build it as long as you've got enough candy corn pieces for any time during the rest of the year. Just be warned, you're not guaranteed to get the bags to actually spawn. Previous events in Grounded 1, things like a holiday treat that give certain candy pieces, well that actually stopped once the month of December was done. There are other additions in this update, including sound effects and a bit more of a spooky, scary sky. So listen out for some screams, witches and maybe googlies. And now it's time to go through Axel and all the stuff you need to know for this, and then I'm going to be showing you all the patch notes afterwards. So Axel was here, one of the biggest bosses we'll surely encounter in Grounded 2, or maybe, just maybe, there might even be bigger, but no doubt he will be a challenge, although maybe not as much of a challenge as you would think. I think the boss is actually relatively easy. As usual, it's all about your skills and what kind of build you're going for, and obviously you can always change the difficulty to mild if you are having a problem. But the key point is to focus on this. This is his weak spot that you can go ahead and slash and get extra damage on. You may have seen early videos showing a bunch of cheese where you could stay on top of his abdomen and carry on doing lots of damage. However, there is actually set caps, so you can only do so much damage in a phase before he begins his next kind of attacks. I'll be covering this in more details in my 10 tips for taking on Axel video, but the bottom line, that got nerfed, so now he does even more damage when he tries to throw you off of his back. So the best advice is to jump off as soon as he starts to shake, or as soon as he basically starts getting up from having his weak spot exposed. And that might be one of the most important tips for this video at least, but let's talk about how you actually summon him and where to find him. You're going to have to head over to his terrarium, which should be located over to the middle of the map, or the east side at the moment currently. It's pretty close to the ice cream cart, just in between that and the rose gardens. You'll see a giant plastic enclosure. Underneath there's some spiders and maybe a little picture, but otherwise you need to get inside. Here you'll find the receipt paper for Axel telling you what he needs to eat, and that's what we're going to be using to summon him. Make sure you do pick up the tarantula chunk that's here as well, as that unlocks some recipes as well. And then look up, because the receipt, the paper, is actually this large bit, which seems quite big, more bigger than normal for these kinds of summon recipes. But here you go. You'll now have it unlocked, ready to cook in your cookery. A big change from Grounded 1. You don't currently have ovens, so obviously this is the short-term answer. Or who knows, maybe they're going to make it this way for all of the bosses. You will need a roach head, 4 roach chunks, 3 snail slime, and 1 everchar coal chunk. Then head all the way over to the northwest of the map, right in the corner just here underneath the foliage, and you should notice the little bird cage, as well as obviously some skeletons. In the undergrowth entrance you'll find the route to Axel's arena. Of course, using your all weaver to get across the webs. I know some of you tryhards have been doing it without. The consensus being it's easier to actually hit him because he won't be just moving around trying to get at your tame. As soon as you come in on the entrance, you will find the nest that you dump the actual summon item inside, and the entrance and exit way will then become blocked up so you can't make an escape or cheese him. And don't panic if you don't peep him, it is a repeatable boss, so you'll be able to go ahead and make more summon items and fight him as many times as you want in a row. There's no cooldowns. Some of this info will be pretty new to players, having not maybe played Grounded 1. If you fail at an attempt to kill him, you'll actually get the refunded summon item back, so make sure you go and pick it up, as it's normally either dumped outside just where you popped it in. If you're successful, you will use up the summon item. So if your base is pretty far away, I definitely recommend building some sort of outpost close by. Axel technically doesn't have any weaknesses, but he is resistant to stabbing, fresh, explosive and venom. So spicy, slashing and stun are all really viable builds. And I'm pretty much going to leave it there. I think you guys should go and encounter it for yourself and then maybe come back and check some guides. I've got a couple already, one based on the PTB build, but there'll be a brand new 10 tips to take on Axel video going live pretty much just after this patch notes one. But just note, yes, he was buffed during the PTB, where some of his attacks between his different phases were sped up, and he does more damage to throw you off of his back, which a lot of people were kind of cheesing. So that should reduce it and make this fight a little bit tougher, but I still found it relatively okay. Killing Axel will reward you with 1000 raw science as one of the new quests that you can complete. You'll automatically get the brand new pheromone shot mutation. Perfect bow shots will enrage your nearby buggies to do more damage, and enemies will focus on your buggy more while you've got this effect. You'll know this effect is working as you'll see a fine red mist appear around you. And of course you'll get a bunch of different body parts from Axel. Make sure you haven't got a full inventory, as it can be easy to lose some of these items as they don't necessarily show up as big as you would think. There's also a 1% chance of picking up a special trinket from Axel, as well as another trinket that you automatically be given the recipe for once you go ahead and scan the body parts. You'll unlock the Black Fang Great Bow, the regular Great Bow arrows, and the Venom Great Bow arrows, with the trinket being called the Night Stalker Fang. Having this equipped will mean your buggy will regain health while it's dealing damage, and if it manages to perform a critical hit, it will get a massive boost. So that is a guaranteed trinket you'll be able to craft, like I said, once you scan. The other trinket is more chance. It's called Night Stalker's Bane, and your venom hits will last longer. I was kind of lucky, I managed to get it on my 5th try. I've seen others much luckier and some unlucky. There's also a candelabra, a new throne. These don't give any direct buffs at the moment, but I assume they're going to help with the cozy system incoming in the winter update. And just like the other bugs in the park, you can go ahead and get a trophy, which will give you increased damage against Axel when you've placed and rubbed it, which should last around 15 minutes. And of course, you're not getting a 50-foot tarantula stuff version, it is just one of his talons, which will give you 15-minute buff to get more pieces from Axel when you kill him. Both can be activated at the same time, just like all the other buffs. So you may want to place these directly at your outpost and maybe make these a priority so that you can get more pieces and keep fighting. And yes, the armor is based, as I said, on being a Beastmaster, meaning you'll do more damage fighting alongside your buggy. So usual range of bonuses is doing more damage against weak points, but with each piece of armor that you wear, you'll get your buggy to do more critical hits or more chance of them. So combine that with the trinket as well as the mutation and you're definitely getting more health for your buggy. So then obviously go ahead and get more hits in. Where all 3 pieces and any critical hits you or your buggy do will cause venom effects that will then burst and do more damage. The Black Fang perk really should be a bit more speedy in terms of getting the perfect shots when drawn. And yeah, you get the great arrows and the great venom arrows. It's pretty expensive to go ahead and repair, costing 1 tarantula venom, so you may want to think about upgrading it or leaving it unupgraded until you get a good amount of use out of it first, as that automatically repairs stuff. It's obviously a strong bow, and its bonus is that it should have a quicker draw, decreasing the time to your perfect shot. But by actual design, greater bows do actually take a bit longer to draw back anyway. Charge shots though will do lots of damage, and this has been modified now during the P2B to actually work and do increased damage, as well as all arrows doing more damage, if I haven't already mentioned that earlier in the video. They have buffed tier 1 and tier 2 arrows, no matter what kind of bow you use. If you don't like the sound of that, then at least go for the spear, as it's pretty decent. Axel's talon will do venom damage when applied, and it's obviously got more stun compared to any of the other spears in the game currently. Whereas the bow and the armor set that you get is more geared towards being a Beastmaster and certainly someone playing more at range. So you will need to face off against Axel multiple times to go ahead and be able to craft all of his different drops. And not forgetting this time his actual chest. Now I showed this off in P2B, a lot of the stuff you're seeing, but I did forget to show the chest. Yes, it's pretty much like the pine chest that you had from Grounded 1. It'll have 2 extra rows. So yeah, I hope there's going to be other ways to get increased inventory space rather than just locked behind a boss. It does look cool, I absolutely love the design of it. And for people that are hoarding every resource they can, I'm sure they're going to appreciate the increase. But with the tarantula chunks that you need to craft it, yeah, it's definitely something expensive. So that's pretty much everything you need to know, the shortened version for the Axel Hairy and Scary update. I'm going to now tag on the patch notes video that I read out the other week, and it'll be pretty much the same. Anything that I need to change will have been cut out and added in, and so if you really want to know all the details, then carry on watching. Let's go. Community requested set bonus information is now in the Explore pop-up. Hot Pouch is now available while riding a buggy. Hot Pouch now permanent in the inventory screen. All Weavers now won't receive full damage. Quality of life improvements on All Weaver navigation. Improvements on the repair button for buggies. Scab now emits small light at night. Feedback for throw starts as soon as input is pressed. Improvements on feedback for the lean-to interaction. Bunch of audio issues have been fixed. Combat balancing. Preliminary patch notes for full update. This is the pass and combat stats as we prepare for tier 3 combat content. Basically, they've gone ahead and nerfed Rogue. Baseline critical hit damage multiplier has been reduced. Baseline stun damage multiplier has been reduced. Baseline parry stun reduced. Light shields do stun more though. Rogue armor critical hit chance is slightly reduced. Weapon tweaks. Dual wield final damage multiplier slightly reduced. Critical hit chance for following weapons have been adjusted. Weaver daggers, Wolfsbane daggers, icicles, mosquito needle, mighty claws and northern shredders. Fist weapons attack deal less stun, but they've adjusted the mutation as we see further down. bow damage has been reduced. Trinkets, Stabby Stinger deals bonus stabbing damage with finishers. Blistering Boiler, spicy damage and sizzle has been reduced. The Mycologist badge attack damage downsize reduced. Northern Armour, Crippling Strike set bonus immobilise the target for a short duration instead of stuns. Ambush attacks only work on angry creatures like the mutation. Mutation adjustments. Ambush, dagger critical hit damage multiplier has been reduced. Ambush only works on angry creatures. Ambush unlocks progression only counts against angry creatures. Assassin dash strike critical hit chance has been reduced. Critical hit damage with daggers and sickles has been reduced. Smasher, the damage multiplier while creatures are stunned has been increased. Sharpshooter, critical hit chance with charge shots has been reduced. Little Fist, mastery stun reduces slightly. Reliable Friend, revive time has been adjusted. UI adjusting translations better fit UI. And then lots of optimization. I'm not going to list all these, but you get the idea. Lots of graphic options for PC, but not Xbox obviously. But some of them should filter through in the future anyway, just by helping out with performance. They reckon there's a 15% stability gain from the last update. Major bug fixes, buggies no longer affected by the fixed bug locations from the game repair menu. They fix various crashes. Crash when loading a world with customised armour stand built. Crash where memory leaks that would lead to an out of memory crash. 50% of the GPU hang experienced 0.1.3 should be fixed in 0.2. Having full inventory in a two-handed weapon on a buggy will no longer result in losing the weapon. Finally. Resolved an issue where backpacks could fall underneath after a player's death. Fixed the bug where players could get stuck in the onboarding facility by using the PTS. Fixed various more duplication methods. RIP. Resources will no longer respawn on high foundations. Fixed the bug where clients could not repair. Fixed various out of the world gaps in the terrain. Any fix that changes the map in any way has a chance to move geometry, your base, and as an after result we plan on doing these fixes always as batches in the future to help display if your base is affected. Fix the bug where clients were losing all their equipment when a save was transferred via import save option. Fix the photo mode speed exploit. Issue where alternating between player and buggy's backpack and resource analyzer could result in game crash. Issue where Grounded 2 did not launch properly on Steam Deck. Tweaked flickering on distant environments on Xbox Series S. An issue where frame rate drops significantly when players joining the game with teams in different locations. Issue where freezes occurred when joining a multiplayer session. Issues where FPS dropped below 20 when browsing the radial wheel. Bunch of issues have been fixed with the Omni tool showing the wrong kind of prompts, also stuff to do with the hotkeys not working and various other menu and UI stuff that I won't necessarily read off. But a big one to know is that HandyNat should work correctly in build mode etc and shouldn't have inverted controls, especially on controller as well. They have changed and updated the snail shell's plastron's description. Instead obviously needs some of the snail eyes, which is quite hard to get, only from the largest snails. Resolve an issue where red old soldier ants were aggressive towards players mounted on red soldier ant buggy. An issue where mounting a bug in first person view resulted in a reduced pickup range for the player. An issue where buggies could become permanently unavailable. Issue where thrown bandages behave identically as Hilbassas when mounting a buggy. An issue where dismounting a buggy and snap to grid function were bound to the same key by default. False dismount dealt damage after falling on a buggy has now been fixed. An issue with items disappearing when moving items to buggy inventory, that's been fixed. Bug where POIs were not updated in data tab after player discovers POI on buggy. Fix the bug where buggy becomes unresponsive for players after leaving multiplayer sessions. Issues with all weaver buggies colliding with clovers. Issues with neutral characters losing aggro when players mount a buggy. Resolved an issue where a client could duplicate any haulable item like grass planks or buggy eggs by leaving the multiplayer session and rejoining. Fix the bug where players were able to avoid fall damage by dismounting the buggy right before impact. Boo! Resolved an issue where the player was forcibly dismounted from the buggy while blocking and having one stamina bar left. Address that lack of animations, visual and effects for clients while being on buggy and in gathering mode. An issue where your buggy will turn once its safe message wouldn't appear, especially in restricted areas. Resolved an issue where buggy could hatch as hostile. Correct an issue where soil near a pipe leading to the statue had no collision for the red soldier ant. And fix the bug with white frames around buggy stamina bars. Bunch more audio issues, I'm not going through them. Bunch of localization, yep, that's done as well. Some quest stuff's probably important. Resolve an issue where the mixer could not be activated after clients did all the antennas and stashes. An exploit where players could grind mutations on disengaging orc creatures has been fixed. It's no more just restarting the mixer. Fixed an issue where the players were not able to get back up to the tutorial PTS machine. I didn't even know that was a thing, so I guess that's cool. You can go up there now if you just want to explore a little bit or get another view. Resolved an issue where, wait, there's more quest line would not trigger correctly. A bug where orc transmitter entry in the survival guide was blank. Fixed a bug where progression bar for ambush mutation was not working. Resolved an issue where headless burgle point of interest had low quality texture. An issue with a specific Orc Weaver Junior unlocking the regular Orb Weaver Junior card. A bug where the first tutorial for milk molars could appear before leaving the onboarding facility, and corrected an issue where the respawn tutorial was hidden behind the respawn time screen for host and client. Okay, more gameplay stuff. Issues to do with the resource finder not showing stuff correctly. Issue with the frenzy mutation not triggering while using icicles. Issue with the visible out of the world holes in the ceremony region, the entrance region, and again the ceremony region. They've listed it twice. Resolved an issue with the out of world gap in the picnic table area. They've basically fixed a ton of spaces where people were falling out of the world or being able to get into the outer bounds. Also made sure that the orc mixer now works as intended. You can't just stop it before it's finished to keep farming orc creatures. And likewise, if you've done all the quests and transmitters, the orc mixer should activate as properly now as part of the quests. Yeah, so if you fail the mixer, it should work as intended, but you can't farm it. Milk pods have also been correctly placed now. They won't spawn so rarely. Mosquito orc creatures have been added properly now to the statue. The ants are having too much of a natter around the toxic anthill water cooler. And lots of issues where players could get stuck or their buggies get stuck in various parts of the world. Also, bandages don't work as heal batter anymore when you drop them while riding a buggy. Fits an issue where foliage was growing through buildings. A bug that made some enemies spawn buried in the ground. Issue of difficulty of statue's route. That's good because it's not completely obvious where to go when you're going up there. An issue where the Omni tool was invisible during pickup animation on Xbox Series X. Bombardier beetles would spawn inside geometry. Navigation bug around the old root barrier blocking the entrance to the frisbee hedge. An issue where the red ants could spawn inside the ground nearby the entry to the hatchery anthill south entrance. Issues where ladybugs could be noticed roaming inside the anthill. Mantis could aggro or lose aggro on the player mid-combat. Where the praying mantis nymph was not attacking the player when it was pinned to the wall. Bug where recycling buildings was manted would not refund all the materials. That's obviously a big one, that was happening a lot. Also, I don't know if it's fixed here, but bear in mind gold cards aren't triggering either if you loot bodies while on your buggy. Issue with creatures killed by sizzle status effects not giving roasted meat. Issues where cockroaches were trying to interact with buried candy. Correct an issue where crow feathers will get stuck in the air. I love actually that they've had to mute the word cock. Come on now, Obsidian. We're all adults here. I mean, well, teens. Fix an issue where specific Warp Junior bodies would explode in all directions. Man, I like that effect. The Mantis eye colouring on the Orc Mantis has been changed. They've adjusted the Orb Weaver and the Orc Weaver Junior eyes as well. Bunch of issues clipping with stones. Dead roots not properly attached to the environment. Hole in the terrain of a toxic anthill. Mushroom obstacle could be bypassed without a proper Omni tool upgrade. That's in a toxic one. Address the bug where player lost momentum when jump attacking with dual wield weapons. Fix the bug where cockroach would spawn inside roots. Correct an issue where contrast between terrain and water in toxic anthill was too high. Fix the bug that made it impossible to build on certain objects. That hopefully mean we can build a bit more freely. A bug that enabled building anywhere by zooming. No, rip. Resolved an issue where aphid honeydew was not found by resource finder. Fixed the issue where player could get stuck between trash bags. Issue where heavy post process was visible on specific resources. Issue where handing that movement swapped with the players. Issue where the player was aimed to place floor on top of foundations. Correct an issue where the player could spawn a mount inside the ice cream cart. Issue with shaking camera in photo mode. Ants losing their track while carrying loot. One-sided textures near the border of grass games. Omni tool animation not appearing right after an attack. Player could equip Omni tool while frozen. Levitating character in photo mode while crouched. Teens were clipping through the ground in specific spots in the Pine Hill area. Issues where the pine cone was clipping with a stone. Gap in the statue lab wall. A player got stuck next to the news camera. Issues where the team hands clip with the camera in first person. You get the idea. There's a lot of these clipping going on. And then lots of building and placement ones, including pallets could not be placed on single floor pieces. Players could duplicate items by using the chest. Light emitted by the Scab 2K was excessive by night. Buffs being lost upon switching weapons. Issue where players could jump out the playable area. Change light visibility in Might Cave. Lots of visual bugs to do with all over the world. They've balanced the difficulty of obtaining the stolen optical disc. I'm guessing they've maybe made less ants potentially. No, wait, it was all Scorpion in that one, wasn't it? It's the one underneath the decking. Issue where user settings weren't saving on disk. Issue with objectives and story dialogue appearing in creative mode. A bug that caused the wolf spider to become unresponsive. Bunch more shadow and VFX stuff been fixed. Fixed the bug where the stuffed wolf spider used an old model. I don't see any bug fixes there for Pete's back of his head. I hope that's been fixed. And so far, there's no fix for the moon jump. Let's pray they've left that one in. And then I'm just going to rattle off the changes that happened with the PTB midway with the Pinchwhacker nerfs and some other stuff. Black Fang Great Bow deals 15% increased damage with charge shots. Pheromone shot mutation damage buff increased from 25% to 35%. For tier 1 and tier 2 arrows, base damage of both was increased by +5. This is doubled for charge attacks. And for the Axel boss fight, it was coming, they have adjusted it. So Axel dismount damage was moved from 80 to 150. That is a massive increase. So this is to address the cheese where players were able to stay on Axel's abdomen and just keep hitting him without being shaken off. Now the damage that does get done if you do get caught by it will pretty much one-shot you. It might seem harsh, but the problem solved just like I said earlier, jump off before he starts shaking. Stun cooldown increased from 20 seconds to 40 seconds. Axel attacks are now faster with different faster speeds between phase 2 and phase 3. Buggies should no longer lose aggro on Axel. When rubbing for luck with the stuffed Axel, players will no longer collect 2 different types of venom. Various invisible walls where Axel couldn't hit the player are now fixed. Axel's arena should no longer get pitch black at night. Fix the bug where Axel could not hit the player with a leg stomp attack. Fix the bug where Axel could not attack the player that rushed into close combat as soon as the tarantula unburrowed. Axel is no longer unburrowing before second wave of creatures is dead. General bug fixes. Resources should now regrow across the park as intended for extremely large bases. If you don't know this, lots of people complaining about not finding grass and weed stems and stuff. Well, basically you're too close to it. When you're building massive bases, every part counts as you being close to other resources. So some of them resources will not respawn until you went all the way over to the other yard or the other side of the park and basically, yeah, stayed there for like a day. So hopefully that's been fixed properly now and you should be able to start, keep or carry on building your mega bases. Improvements were made to labs with looming off. Shadow flickering should now be synchronized across all clients. Various localization fixes, fixed ability to customize lighting on building objects that produce light, general collision improvements with small floor triangles. So there you go, that's done and dusted. Hopefully it's been useful watching all this. Catch me live taking on Axel and exploring more of the update and go and get that Mantis armor. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll see you later.